Expat, we are live. I tell you, the universe has conspired today to create all kinds of shenanigans. My main guest, she has a power outage where she is in Colombia. So, don't know if she'll be able to join us or not. But regardless, I'm here. I'm not going to you know, cheat you guys. If I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. So, welcome to the live. And my other guest, I wasn't sure she was going to be here, Marcia from the DR. She sent me a message today that, Hola, Greta, that she may not make it. She's a physician and she's trying to, get her stuff together because she's making her exit. So, you know how it is. The enemy is trying to throw all kind of wrenches into her plans. But I am here. Hola. Oh, gracias. I'm using this platform, Restream. I don't like the way it looks, so I went and put more lipstick on because I look totally washed out against that, against this background. So, gracias. Again, Nana, this is her name, Shelby, but she goes by Nana. She has a YouTube channel called Navigating with Nana, and you guys can check it out. And she's from Florida, just like I am, and I am hoping she'll be able to join. I told her, she might be able to just, if you guys, I know Greta, if she can just join by phone, and if you guys have questions, you can ask. She moved to a little town. I don't know the geography exactly, but she is outside of Medellin. That's how you guys say it. And she's in a little town in the mountain, and she moved from somewhere in South Florida. She is kind of my age, high 60s, close to 70, and she says she absolutely loves it. She also bought a house, so, if she doesn't make it, maybe you guys can just go check out her channel, Navigating with Nana, Nana. I think, let me see if I can find her channel. And I'll put the handle in there, Navigating Life with Nana. There she is. Okay. I'm gonna cut and paste that, and I'm going to drop her link to her channel in here. If she doesn't make it, you guys can just check it out. Can't post messages to some channel. That's okay. We're not trying to post message. I was just dropping the link. Hola. I need help. Okay, take that out. Yes, my guest has a power outage in her area in Colombia. I was so looking forward to her being here. So in the meantime, I am here. If you guys have questions about Panama, I know it's just the two of us here, Greta, you and I. I don't think you have questions, Greta, but if you do, I'm happy to answer them. Hola, Maggie. Lynette, you are so faithful. I appreciate you. What is RVA? From RVA. What is RVA? Does it have to do with me? Yes, check out her channel. Hola. Yes, she also bought a house, which I was so looking forward to picking her brains about why she decided to buy. Because here in Panama, we kind of discourage people from buying right off the bat, because we say just rent for a year. Everybody will tell you the same thing. Figure out what part of town you want to. Do you have a WhatsApp number? That's Nana. She's communicating. Yes, I do. So let me send her my WhatsApp. I don't know if she's gonna be able to join, but we're gonna try. You know, life happens, and we just have to be flexible. So I sent her my WhatsApp. Not sure if she's gonna be able to make. Oh, Richmond, Virginia. Oh, that makes sense. RVA. Okay, I didn't know the acronym. Yes, Colombia. It tends to attract a lot of young people. And of course, Medellin, which is a very cultural area. In fact, Black expats in Panama here is starting to do relocation tours, will be doing them over there, just like she does here. So that tells you the market is ripe for that. So I've seen a lot of young people say that they are in Colombia, a lot of digital nomads, but in terms of older people like ourselves relocating there, I have not. Now, she's in a beautiful, quaint little town. If you check her channel, she kind of takes you around. I mean, my kind of place. I would absolutely love it. And, it's calm and quiet, and the food, the culture, I'm all for that. But she decided she bought a house, a two-bedroom. I think it was a two-bedroom, two bath. She changed one of the rooms into like her dining room, and she also gives a tour of that cute little house. So it's possible. And the other thing that you hear about Colombia, it got the history with the another cartel, but what is this guy who was a big drug lord, and they say they cleaned that up. So because once something happens to a country, it's like a stain that never comes off. But you haven't heard much about that in a little while. And of course, we have drug issues everywhere, like we do here in Panama as well. If you have water close to you, people are going to try to trade through your waterways. I mean, that's just the way it is. But also, you hear things like in places like Cartagena about the men, and the last video Nana did, she talked about 9 reasons why she did not choose Medellin. You guys need to uh, look at that, because she talked about the smog, the traffic, a lot of adult businesses going on there. And she said it felt too tight, too constrained, and she likes the fresh air. And when you see the views of her place where she's at, I'm telling you, it's stunning. But she said she wanted the view, she wanted the mountains, and that's why she found the house and she bought it. I'm here in Panama City, and I have to tell you, earlier, is it last year? So last year we kind of looked, some of the ladies and I, we went and looked at some pre-construction and trying to see the benefits, the pros and cons of buying versus renting. And then after seeing a couple of buildings that were coming up, no views, very small, we decided we didn't want to do it. So, if you sell your house in the US, whatever proceeds that you make, do you want to take all that money and pay and buy an apartment here? If you're a millionaire, you may want to buy. I would consider, if I were a millionaire, I would consider buying a small condo in a beach town somewhere that I could go to on the weekends, just like I thought I wanted to do when I was in Florida, right? Too many digits. Yes, in Panama we have an extra digit, Nana. Oh Lord, she said too many digits. Yes, cell numbers. She's trying to see if she can get in. Cell numbers have, so it's 10 digits. Our cell numbers here in Panama, we have 10 digits. And that kind of throws people off because you have, how many do we have in no, we have more than 10. Three, oh, 11 digits. We have 11 numbers, not 10. Yeah. But yeah, we went and we looked at a couple of places, and then we decided it just didn't make sense for us to do that. Again, if I were a millionaire, I probably would consider it. But even then, I'd have to drive to the beach areas, and that traffic there is really crazy here in Panama. Lots of accidents. People don't obey the traffic laws, and they have a lot of accidents. And like I was telling, hola, Cheryl. I was telling someone we were doing a presentation last week, and I am so bad about recording. I did a presentation for the ladies group on emergency management, and I was telling them, when you're here in those, countries that we love to retire to, you have to understand that if something major happens to you medically, you may not make it because there is no, helicopter emergency medical thing that's going to come pick you up if you're in a trauma situation. No. So I think I'm okay. I don't know how long I have left. So I think I feel that if I were to buy right now, it would be too much of an investment. And if I were to do the math, let's say I live 10 more years, I don't know. I think maybe renting is still probably the best thing for me to do right now. And a lot of the ladies here think the same. Rwanda, yes, I visited Rwanda and did not think I could stay there. You talk about the stain on Rwanda, Greta. I went to the um, what is the museum they call it? Mm, the genocide. They have a genocide museum there, right? And I went there and went through the different rooms, and oh, I got weighed down. So yeah, my spirit did not connect. So that's why I'm here in Panama. I tell people wherever you go, to me, I have to have a spiritual connection, right? I have to feel right, what your soul is not troubled and you feel at peace. And that's why a lot of people love places like Colombia, Mexico, Panama. When we come here, it's like, yeah, over there, I felt the weight of everything that had happened. I don't know. I can't explain it. Somebody explained it one time, but I don't talk about it too much because some people don't understand that. And I think everybody's experience is their experience. Well, ladies, if you have any questions about Panama, now is your time. Oops. Oh, this is Nana. Ah, hola. You welcome to Latin America and Expat Life. That's what I said. Things happen. But the ladies won't be able to see you, but at least they can hear you. Oh my gosh, this is awful. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me ask them if they can hear you. Ladies, can you hear Nana? She's on a WhatsApp on my other phone. Can somebody tell me if they can hear her? Nana, can you say something? Can everybody hear me? Can you hear her, Greta? Oh, they said I can hear you. That's wonderful. Okay. You know what? When there's a will, there's a way. Trust a bunch of women to figure out a way, right?
That's right. They'll just have to use their imagination. They can picture Raquel Welch.
Well, no, I put your picture on there on the Facebook page, so they
Oh.
know what you look like. Oh my God, this is so cool. Thank you, Nana. I call her Nana because her name is Shelby, but I like Nana better.
I do too.
Very good. But anyway, welcome to the live. Even though we can see you, we can hear and feel your spirit. You know, as we are all trying to figure out, trying to get options. And a lot of us have been, I've left, but some people are still on the other side, just trying to decide where or how, what to do. I mean, that's a lot because, as you know, it took us a long time to do our research. But right now, it's like time is of the essence. Yesterday, I was watching something, it says 42% of Americans are considering moving abroad.
I'm
How
not shocked.
that
It's
is
just it's frightening times.
that is it is crazy. So I know the people who are here just want to know Panama versus Colombia versus Mexico versus Portugal. And this is why I want to do with these roundtable is just pinpoint certain things about each country, what attracted you and what kind of helped you make that decision. So maybe introduce yourself first. Listen, ladies, she's in the mountain, so just bear with it, okay?
Yes. I'm from Florida originally. I went out to California to attend university, and I stayed out there for about 20 years. Moved back to Florida to raise my children. They're both in their 30s, and my grandson is a teenager now.
Oh,
so
wow.
when he was no longer begging to come over and spend the night and cry when his mother would pick him up, I thought, I can do what I want to do now.
Yeah.
So I did an enormous amount of research, and the one thing I find is the most important is asking yourself a lot of questions first. What you like and what you don't like, what you're comfortable with and not comfortable with.
Yes.
And thank goodness for the internet, because there are people like Maggie and so many expat channels. You do have to be a little careful of clickbait.
Yes.
And especially things on crime and stuff like that. But if you use good common sense, you can find out a lot. And I use Google Maps also. I use the little man, walking man. I'd go right onto the street and walk around.
Wow, that's cool. So how long did it take you? How long did you research?
I researched probably it was on and off for about a year and a half or so. Okay. I embarked on van life, actually. I had a really cool van and did that for a year and a half.
Heard that.
But I won't go into why that didn't work. It's very challenging.
I can imagine.
I loved it. I mean, I saw the entire United States. It was incredible.
Wow.
And so that was going to be my way financially, of retiring and then renting out my condo in Florida. But there were just a lot of issues that went along with that. So that's when I decided to look into expat life, and I went down that rabbit hole. And I love to research, and I love the internet, and it's better than watching a movie to me. I mean,
that's for sure.
I enjoyed it. I traveled all over the world, took a few trips, inexpensive ones to rule out some places, and then I decided on Colombia.
And what made Colombia move to the top?
Well, again, it was questions that I asked myself.
Okay.
So I knew number one, climate was important to me. So having lived in Florida and in California, big difference in climate. California, typically like Northern California, it's in the low 70s every day, maybe dips down to 50s at night, never any freezing or anything like that, and very little humidity. And I loved that climate.
Yeah.
Having lived in Florida so long, I was a bit concerned with countries that we're close to the equator and also at sea level, because that combination will be heat and humidity.
Right.
And I've just done that for years. You know, a lot of people, that's new, you know, the beach and the balmy air, but I had done that for so long.
Right. You were in Florida and California.
I grew up in Florida. Yeah, I wanted a different climate. So in Colombia, there are areas like Panama. There are beach areas at sea level on the Caribbean. And then there are also mountain areas. So I would say, if everyone's familiar with Bukete, is that how you say it, Maggie?
Bukete.
Bukete, yeah. Where I live, the climate's very similar. So it's mountainous.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
and there were some other things. I wanted access. I wanted to be close to a big city, but not be in a city.
Okay.
You know, there were just a number of criteria, and cost of living. I wanted to make sure that my U.S. dollar went a long way.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So did the language present a problem for you? Did you think about that?
I tend to be a fairly fearless person when I set my mind to things.
Okay.
And I just feel when there's a will, there's a way. Now, we have apps. I have a brain. I can do, you know, and I can learn the language. I studied French for many years in school, so there are a lot of similarities. A lot of times I'll say the French word with a Spanish accent, and I'd say about half the time it works. But I am taking classes. But yeah, I've told people on my channel this, that if you learn immediately nice things to say to people, small talk, sweet conversation. I have a little dog, and people kept coming up to me on the street. That's a conversation
starter.
Yeah, they kept saying, "Que linda, que
lindo.
And then they saw she was a girl. Yeah, que linda. And I looked that up. So I learned things like that to say. I say that all the time when I see someone with a baby or a dog. And, you know, a smile goes a long way. If you're trying and you're smiling and you're listening, every human being deserves that, to have your undivided attention and to really care and listen to them, even if you're not 100% comprehending. Right. So I have found, and I think the people in Panama are probably pretty similar. They're really warm there, right?
Yeah, very, very. And like you talked about the listening and the connection, people can feel that. You can't fake that. Even if you don't speak the same language, there's a connection. I agree with you. So, Nana, a year and a half of research, what was the process like to downsize and get rid of your stuff? Because I tell people, for me, that was the most emotional thing, is watching, getting rid of stuff that you've accumulated through the years. I mean, it's not just a little thing, but you have some things that you hold close to your heart. So how was that process like for you?
It was emotional, but again, I just tried to use my logical mind and do it in such a way that would be as comfortable as possible. One thing I did, because I had years, I had so many of those huge tubs out of plastic, they have at Walmart and Target. They're totes, those huge filled with bags. Well, and it took me about a month, but I got one of those scan apps where you just, I did a page at a time. I didn't do a photo at a time.
Okay.
And I have digital of all of that, a lot of memory type things. I dumped a lot on my children. I said, it's not up to me anymore. Here's your baby book. Here's your, and they were fine with that.
Aww.
Yeah. So,
and I know you're into
easy because.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
Well, clothes were easy when you know the climate you're going to. I did put some spare clothes. My daughter they're in a extra suitcase, and they're just in one of her closets, just in case I have to go to a really cold climate, because I do have some relatives like that. Just some spare things I left there, but I sold and gave away all my furniture. I I didn't really have any regrets about that. I did find through networking on an expat Facebook group, I found a shipping company out of Miami, and they're going to be retiring probably in another year or two. But they're a fraction of the cost of like Caribbean shippers and those big companies. They're mom and
that's
pop.
great. Maybe you
And
can
what
share
they
that
do,
later, because people ask me that
pardon
question.
me?
I said maybe you can share that
Yeah,
later. Yeah.
I will, and you can put it in the description.
Okay. And also,
and I'll put their phone number and email.
okay.
It's G as in George, V as in Victor, A as in Apple shipping. But anyway, so what they do is they do whole containers, but they also do one container a month that is shared, and you don't have to have anything to do with the people that are sharing it. It doesn't matter if it ends up being full or not, but you can ship just a pallet. So if you have, and the pallet's big.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen one on a truck.
No.
And so I did one pallet, and that cost me around $1,000.
And what did you bring? What did you have in there? What did you have in there?
I did have some memorabilia. I've been in the art business all my life.
Yes.
So I took the paintings off the stretcher bars and I rolled them and shipped them that way in tubes. And some extra clothes. And then I thought, it probably will be an expense to buy absolutely everything in my kitchen and bathrooms and things. So I just packed it with just odds and ends or nicer things that I liked over the years. But I probably didn't have to do that. But for me, I'm glad I did. So if somebody can afford to spend that, if not, I could have easily done it. Remember, I lived out of a van for a year and a half.
Right. You were trained.
I could do that.
Yes, because people ask, what should they bring? I came with 3 suitcases. I did not, because in my mind I was going to go to South Africa, so I had to be a little bit more mobile, right? But I do tell people to bring their kitchen stuff, and if you have really nice linen, some of that, and your art, and some of these things you really can't find here, in Panama.
Yeah.
So it probably, I'm sure it's worth the cost of having some familiarity in your new home too, right? So
absolutely. And you bring up a good point with the linens, and what I always tell everyone is to join every expat group that you can in the places that you're thinking of moving.
Right.
And there are a few that only allow people that are actually there, but most groups will allow people that are considering moving there. And then rather than go on that group and just immediately start bombarding with questions, you can use the search and just put in the word linens or this or that. You can see what other people wrote about it, what they suggest. But yes, I brought my towels and sheets because I had nice ones and I didn't want to spend the money to get them. And apparently the sheets aren't as nice here. So I thought, well, I'll bring those.
No, they're not. No other kitchen utensils and pots and pans. It's not the same. So
yeah. So I brought my pots and pans and little appliances.
Okay.
I'm a ice cream nut, so my ice cream maker brought that.
Okay, so you it was easy for you to divest yourself of all your stuff, so that's good. And then did you do the Airbnbs? Did you kind of, because I know you said you bought. I watched one of your videos where you say you bought an apartment, but did you rent before? Did you do the Airbnb?
Yes.
How was that?
Yes, I had no problem at all with the Airbnbs. I did come down twice to visit. Well, first because I thought I wanted to live in Medellin in the city. And then I took a day trip out to the countryside, to the area that I'm in eastern Antioquia, which is only like 30-40 minutes outside the city. But I fell in love with it, but I was out of days. I had to return. So I did another trip and came here. But I stayed in Airbnb while I was house hunting, and before I moved in. Mm-hmm.
And I was telling the ladies before you got here that a lot of times we who've been here, we tell people, no, just wait for a year and see if you really want to buy. But you went and bought right off the bat, right?
I did, but again, you have to sort of listen to yourself, use your intuition. I tend to be really clear on what I like and don't like, and very thorough in my research. So I felt very confident about what I was purchasing, and I'm glad I did,
Looks
because
lovely.
prices have been going up, and that's true all over the world. That's
Yes.
happening. It's not as crazy as it is in the United States. Oh my gosh, never seen anything like it in the last
Nope. Yeah.
since COVID. It's like every company has the excuse to like overcharge now. But yeah, I knew what I wanted, and I knew also, well, in selling my condo, I was able to have enough money from the equity in that to buy something here and not have a mortgage. And that was
is
just a driving
amazing.
force
Yes.
in my personality, where I didn't want any bills. I mean, I wanted to come here, and the HOA is a little over $100 a month, and it's incredible, the amenities. So that's all I pay to live here.
Wow.
And my electric bill is like $20, just like, so I wanted to relieve myself of all financial stress.
So, well, that's wonderful. I kind of like the fact that you know exactly what you wanted and then you do your research and you go for it. Because sometimes we get caught in analysis paralysis, right? We just looking at all that. It's like, how long you been looking? 2 years. It's like the people who've been engaged for 10 years. You're like, what?
I know.
So,
Yeah.
and then I think I dropped your YouTube links. I don't know if it went through, but they can watch because Nana gives you a tour of her little cute, little I mean her home, and her views are amazing. So you guys can go look at that. And she also did the last video on why she did not choose Medellin. I think some of those are so funny. You need to watch that too. So I think it's important when you are moving to a different place to know, like you say, know what you want. I came to Panama, fell in love with Panama, but of course I rented. And then I took a few weeks and I traveled all over the country just to feel the vibe and in every place, see how I would feel. And then I came back and I'm like, nope, I'm staying right here, right? So it's nice to do what you need to do so you can have clarity as to where you want to be and what works for you, right? So,
yes, really, really important. Absolutely. And, if you embark on something and it's not right, then you know what? You have a fork in the road and you just go another direction. It's
that's
not,
right.
like you said, Maggie, there's no reason to be paralyzed. And, I just don't want to be very old and sick one day and just think I just, ended up moving in with one of my kids and sat in the corner in a lazy boy chair watching TV all day, because I couldn't afford my own place anymore. So and I know that, a lot of people with channels speak of that as well. It's not just the financial security, but also it's really freedom that when you relieve yourself of that overhead and that fear of covering your bills, and Maggie, I know you go out with friends and I see what you buy at the store. You can just go and do what you feel like doing rather than I had become very reclusive since I retired. And I was kind of forced into retirement in my early 60s. So and I'm 67 now. So I didn't have a lot of savings, but I was dipping into that. And what I thought was I refused to work. I mean, I could have. By then I was like 64.
I know.
I just, I don't want to work anymore.
Who wants to work? I agree with you.
Think of it.
Yeah, but we have a reason why we are living where we are living now. And I always bring people
Hmm.
back to what is your why. And I think you touched upon that. Having not having the financial worry about, bills and mortgage and all that. And the picture of you having to, being forced to go live with your adult children. And I've seen that as a home care nurse. I would go
Yes,
look for my patient, and they would have her in the back of the house in a really small
yes,
room, like you said, with the TV, and the family is eating dinner. And I'm like,
yeah,
why is she? And then they bring her little plate, this the isolation. And I talk about
yes,
isolation in my video this week. This is a major risk factor for depression and for disease and all that. So
you're right.
knowing why you're moving, for me, it's like I want to create a way for me to be able to retire, grow old, and be able to afford how I want to grow old and not being forced
Yes,
into a facility. So I think we have that
yep.
in common.
Yes, I
Um,
watched that video, that recent one when you talked about telling family and friends, and
yeah, this
I
when they're
I had
upset
similar
with you.
reactions, yeah, from mine, and it's our own lives, but most people, we don't want to become a burden. I don't
Yeah,
want to become a
I don't
burden.
think any of
Uh,
us want that. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm. And it's to me, there's the element of adventure too. I mean, I've always loved traveling, and during the years I was working and raising my children and everything, I couldn't afford global travel and things like that. We'd do one vacation, we'd drive through or something once a year. But I was itching to do what I used to do when I was younger. I traveled a lot. I'm an adventurous person, and I
Yeah.
feel now I don't even spend my social security here. So I'm able to put that money away. It gives me enough to fly back to Florida 2 or 3 times a year so my kids aren't totally freaked out all the time. And, they're welcome to come here and visit. And
Yeah.
yeah, so, but I hope to have enough saved. And yeah, I want to start. I'll come visit you, Maggie.
I want to come visit you.
You can.
I want to
The
breathe that fresh
invitation
mouth.
is open.
I want to breathe that fresh mountain air. That looks so amazing. Oh my
Yes, and
goodness.
I do miss the beach. I mean, Florida was, I'm a native Floridian, so yeah, to be back in the tropics would be wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. So you move into your beautiful home. You have your video where you talk about how easy it was for you to get furniture made and all that good stuff. It sounds all wonderful. And you have excellent taste on how you decorate that minimalist chic type of style, which is so cool. But
Thank you.
and I know you I watch you go and have that meal, which is looks amazing. They talk about the food in Colombia and we talk about the food in Panama. So we have a lot of similarities, I would say. And we're neighbors, of
Mhm.
course. But
Yes.
what is it that you like most about Colombia? What is it that keeps you there, that keeps you excited every day and thankful? And I mean, I know the mountain air and all that, but what else keeps you there, keeps you grounded?
Well, I love that word thankful because I make sure I focus on that. And it's just moments here and there. And I stop and just grab that.
Hmm.
And I give an example of it in one of my videos. It was just the sweetest guy was pumping my gas. And anyway, it's this little conversation we had and everything. And as I was driving away, I just took that moment to just say, that was just a really beautiful thing. I'm so
Yeah,
grateful to be here and to be surrounded by such lovely people and all this natural beauty. So I just take little moments like that,
yeah.
and I have a panoramic view. So when I wake up, it's like a new painting,
Wow.
different dawn. Yes, and sometimes when I'm getting a little bit jaded, like the first month or so here, I was like crying like every morning I wake up
Oh,
because it
because
was.
because the beauty was just overwhelming.
Yeah, but I think it
Oh,
just goes back to that. I feel I feel that this is my renaissance. It's a rebirth. I feel that the restrictions are gone now. I don't have to hold back, for instance, socially. So I belong to a couple Facebook groups. If a few friends are getting together at a restaurant, I can afford that. I don't have to say no. And I would say no back in Florida, especially if friends mentioned the restaurant. And I thought, oh God, I can't stand that. So I pretty much go where I want to do and do what I want to do, and I can afford absolutely anything I feel like doing. So yeah, it's very freeing to be able to do that.
Wonderful.
And it makes me feel more creative, and I'm not near the chef you are, but I've attempted. I wish I was, Nick. But I've attempted, different recipes and things, and there's a local grocer, and they have two like huge fruit markets right next door.
Oh,
It's the same owner.
lovely.
Yeah, and I'll talk to the guys there. They all know me in my broken Spanish, and I'll say, what's fresh, what's different, and their eyes light up because they'll hand me something I've never even seen before, like a vegetable or fruit or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I bring it home and I look up what it is and I play around with cooking it, and it's just I have fun. Life is fun.
Wonderful. So you feel like you have community,
Mm-hmm.
fresh fruit and vegetables, great climate. I mean, what else can you ask for? What about healthcare? Have you researched that? And how is it? I
Yes.
know people leave here to go to Colombia to get healthcare. So I know in some places it's great. So how is it where you are in the mountain?
It it's fine because my mountaintop is actually only 30 minutes from the Medellin International Airport.
Okay.
That airport is out in the country a little bit, like most airports are. It's not right in the heart of the city. So I'm on that side of Medellin. Yeah, everything is very close and convenient. And I'm
Right.
sorry, I forgot what you just asked. Having a
No,
senior
I
moment.
asked about the healthcare. So I'm sure they have
Oh, yeah.
doctors in your village if there was something wrong. Is there a hospital or anything like that?
No, it's more than a village. I mean, I did a ton of research. Now, I found a good deal and a good area, but all throughout this section, there are 3 towns and that major airport. And the
Okay.
town where the major airport is only 20 minutes away.
Okay.
And it is high end as far as Colombian standards. It's still very inexpensive, like all the shopping and things. My little village, right at the bottom of the mountain, I like to support the small businesses, and it is less expensive. But this Llano Grande area,
Yeah.
it is, I mean, we're talking just mansions and very gorgeous shopping and restaurants. But there's a hospital there called San Vicente.
Okay.
And the main one is in Medellin. This hospital, it looks like a Frank Gehry building. The architecture, it's a big facade that's all glass and round and goes just climbing up into the sky. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Before I got my health insurance, I needed to get a specialist because I have to have my blood checked every 3 months.
Okay.
And I have to go to a hematologist.
Okay.
And so it's hard in Colombia. Usually people that answer the phone at businesses only speak Spanish.
Yes.
So I went there in person.
Okay.
And guess what they have at this gorgeous hospital 20 minutes from my condo is a concierge that speaks
English. Wow.
So I had travel insurance. This is right after I got here. I didn't have my longer term visa where I could be on the Colombian healthcare system. Okay. And to get that visa, they require you to have travel insurance. Well, it doesn't cover pre-existing conditions. It's like more like an emergency insurance. So I had to pay out of pocket. So I saw the hematologist, which is the same as an oncologist, but I saw him, had my lab work, and went back for a follow-up. And it was $100.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm talking like full workup.
Full workup.
And then I found out that which I already knew. They told me in the US there was nothing wrong with me, but to go ahead and get my blood checked.
Yeah.
But their jaws dropped because in the US, I was taken to the point, if you can believe it, Maggie, because my red blood cell count had climbed up a little bit at my checkup.
Which happen when you get older.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. My mother had it.
Okay, and then there's a disease actually that causes it, but I don't have it.
Polycythemia vera.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I was tested for. Oh, I get some medical advice. So yeah, so I didn't have. So here I am in the U.S. They checked me for that. I don't have that. I don't have too much iron, and so down the rabbit hole I go with medical. Which the co-payments were crazy. They took the point of a bone marrow biopsy.
Oh, yes. I know.
Yeah. So all of that done and nothing wrong with me. And then I find out, well, even if you had any of these things, even if it is any form of cancer, which they checked me genetically, it's not. All you do is if your cell count gets too high, you donate a pint of blood. So I donated a pint of blood before I got on the plane to come here. To move here, and then I got the hematologist, but his jaw was dropping. He's like, they did a, and they all speak most doctors in Latin America. He was in shock.
Yeah.
He said, did you have symptoms? I said, no. This was from the lab work at my checkup, and they sent me to all of this. So yeah, but anyway, so I have him, and then I've been fine, even though I'm at a high altitude. This still hasn't climbed up again. So it's but it was around $100.
Yeah, it's the system.
For a specialist visit and the lab work.
Okay.
And to see him again, yeah. So, but then after that, I'm sorry. So there is a government healthcare system called EPM. Okay. You have to have your visa. So when you get here, you're on a tourist visa.
And how long is the tourist visa? Is it 90 days or 180 days?
It's kind of both. Okay. They first give you 90.
Okay.
And then you can extend it for another 90. So basically, you're allowed to stay in Colombia 6 months out of the year, every year. A lot of people just do that, can afford it. They just live happy. And that doesn't have to be consecutive.
Okay.
So if, you can fly back and forth. It's the same in Panama too, right?
Panama, they do the border run. I don't think they say it's 6 months per year. I don't think they look at it like that. You could just go to Colombia, come back, they'll stamp you for another 180 days. But they caution you not to do it too many times because then you become a red flag. It's like, how many times have you gone to Colombia or Costa Rica to get that stamp? Right. So, and then
a lot of Colombians, that don't have their retirement visa or their investor visa, whatever, that they get. Yeah, they do that because the flights, to Panama are inexpensive.
So cheap.
They just go. Some of them go in the morning and come back the same day.
I know. People go there to get their medications too from here.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So then after you, you apply for your visa, which they require that you have travel insurance. So that's there, in case you get run over by a bus or something like that happens. And then if you do need to go to the doctor, as I just pointed out, I saw an oncologist and had all that done. And if I had been to just a regular doctor, it probably would have been like $25 or something. Then you apply for whatever type of visa that you want. That usually takes about 2 months to get. And once you have your visa, then they give you your government ID, which is called a cedula. And once you have that, that's like kind of your ticket to everything in Colombia. And then you can get on the healthcare system. Wow. And like the co-pays are like $2.
Okay.
I haven't needed to,
I have lots of questions about the visa. Okay. So you start with your a visitor's visa. You can get it up to 6 months. And then
it's divided like it is in Panama.
Right.
It's 180. So you are required to leave
and come back.
But again, you could just fly and have a weekend in Panama.
Right.
If you wanted, you just have to cross a border somewhere.
Right. Get another stamp on your passport. And
But I
then,
guess what I was trying to say is you can go back and forth on that within the 180 days. Like if you're in the middle of your 180 days and you have to go back to the US for an emergency,
right,
it's not going to interrupt anything as far as what you're allowed to do.
okay,
You can come right back. Yeah.
okay. But could you have started the visa process before you got there, so you didn't have to worry about the 180 days? Could you have started the process, or do you have to be
No.
in Colombia to start the residency process?
You have to be in Colombia.
In Colombia, okay.
But you're here legally anyway, so it's not a big deal.
Okay. And then you say it takes about 2 months for you to get it. Now, what are the requirements? In Panama, you have to have a steady income coming, either from Social Security or could be your pension. Some people use
Yes.
their VA benefits of $1,000. And then if you have a spouse or children, it's another 250. So what is the financial requirement to get that visa in Panama?
It's a little bit
in
more.
Colombia.
It's $1,200 a month.
1,200. Oh, that's still pretty good. Pretty nice. Okay. One of the difference though between Panama and Colombia is that we don't get to sign up for any medical.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That is not, no, that is not available to us. If we want to get insurance, we have to find a plan that will cover us. And in Panama, if you hit 65, it's almost impossible to get health insurance
right.
here.
Yes.
So people need to know that, and I think that's a good contrast, right?
Yeah.
The travel insurance, a lot of us have it for emergencies, but now we've been going down the road of switching from regular Medicare to Medicare Advantage that the hospitals here will accept. It's like your travel insurance, but it doesn't have pre-existing condition. It's just like it's an emergency wherever you are in the world, it will cover. We're still debating the reimbursement kind of thing because usually here it used to be even if you have a Medicare Advantage card, you have kind of prepay for whatever they think it's going to cost, and then once you go home, they'll help you with the claim for you to submit to your insurance, right? But now they've been working with the hospitals here and the one in Chiriquí where Boquete is to accept to just do the billing and not have us prepay. So we're working on that.
Right.
So that is a
That's
big
good.
contrast. If we get residency here, we don't qualify to sign on for any medical health insurance. So people need to know that.
Well, and that brings to mind something, and I think this is good advice no matter what country you're looking into.
Right.
Rules and laws change all the time.
Exactly.
The other reason why I bought they call them apartments here, not condos, why I bought my apartment was because at the time, the year prior to that, there was all this talk that they were going to, because of a lot of retirees coming, not having paid into the system.
Into the Social Security system.
Which I
yes.
could kind of understand that.
Right.
And so there was like a rumor. Well, it never happened, but I was worried I wasn't going to be able to get it. And so I had the option. If I bought, it's the same visa, but it's set up differently. You qualify because of your real estate investment, which I think was like a minimum.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah, but retirees still, I mean, even this year they come all the time and they still get the health care. So that never happened. But I would have a few years ago said, in Latin America, the laws and governments did radical change and everything. But now, of course, it's happening in the U.S.
Oh yes, everything is changing.
But yeah, you have to be prepared. And I tell you, Maggie, one more thing, and then I'll stop talking. Let me talk for a second. I'm sorry, I'm rattling.
Well, that's why you're here. People want to hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks. No, but I wanna toot your horn for just a second here because you are so good at like coaching people, like in a like someone's favorite teacher or their mom or something. I mean, you are so practical and you give such good advice.
Oh,
And
thank
over and
you.
over and over again, you tell people, do not do this on a shoestring. You make sure, all of those things, make sure that you're prepared for anything and this and that, and have sort of an escape plan or whatnot. Because, I mean, it could happen. You could move somewhere and laws can change, and then you're not able to get the insurance anymore or something, and you have some medical issues. You want to be able to move to another country.
That's right. And
I may be moving to Panama one day. You may be moving here. Who knows?
You know what? We don't know. And I think another word I'm trying to chime in people's head now is portability. It's like you need to be aware of what's going on and see whenever something happens and you have to shift, because anything at this point can happen. We don't know.
Yes.
So, but that's great though to hear about the insurance. I didn't know that. I know Colombia has excellent health care. Thank you, Lynette. I know that the idea of having these talks is just to compare and contrast, right? Because no one place is perfect. And as you say,
That's
you
right.
have to know what works for you and what you're looking for, right? And
I can point out something in particular. I thought about it ahead of time before we started talking, that is more difficult in Colombia than Panama. So, I don't want to just be giving everybody 100% rosy.
No, what's more difficult? What's more difficult?
One thing that is difficult is rentals.
Oh, tell us more.
Yes. What has happened, it's always the bad people and there's such a small fraction of bad people in the world, but it's always the bad ones that ruin things for
the rest
all
of us.
The good people.
Yes.
So what happened in Colombia, and the first time I flew down, the plane I was on was all men. Just like all these passport bros, going to Medellin.
Right.
Because the women are so beautiful. A lot of. Yeah. And so what is required is to have Colombian credit, usually, to get a lease.
Oh.
But if you find the right real estate agents, and you can also give more than the normal deposit, let's say more than the first and the last. But maybe, maybe do the first and the two last or something like that. That money talks, and there is a way around that.
Okay.
Because you do not want to think, I'm going to live in an Airbnb forever, because are they much more expensive in Panama than just a normal rental for an annual rental?
It depends. It depends. Most people don't want to stay in the Airbnb too long. And we can't do short-term rental in the city of less than 45 days. So people sometimes saying, I'm going to be here, for 3 months. I'd like to get a rental. It's like, no.
Yes.
They don't want to do it that way. So you're saying the passport bros and all these other things, they're making the locals be more reluctant to rent to expats?
Well, they're not reluctant. They want to. I have several friends in the Facebook group. They had no problem.
Okay.
Because because they're seniors, and they know it's not an issue. But when a lot of times on the rental websites, it will state something like that. You have to have a line of credit or something like that. So the way things work oftentimes in Colombia, and I'm sure it's true in Panama, but I think Panama is a little bit more similar to the U.S. and you have the U.S. dollar there and everything.
Yes.
But you have to, in Colombia, you have to have a network, and you have to know where to go. And not everything and everyone has websites. It's a super sophisticated country, and but at the same, it's a lot of it's just word of mouth rather than having, a website presence.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever it is that you go, I found somebody that helped me as soon as I got here, and again through my Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a video coming out on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
interviewing her.
Good.
Because and so she knows every single person in this region right outside of Medellin. She also does visas. My real estate agent, who was a top attorney in Medellin, didn't even take my real estate purchase to the last step. And Huli, which is how you pronounce Julie, but it's Huli.
Yes.
My concierge is what she calls herself. She caught it. She's like, "Oh, you bought a place?" And da da da. And she said, "Okay, let me see your paperwork." She said, "Shelby, where's your deed?" And I said, "I don't know." I paid an attorney. I have all these stacks of papers and stuff. She said, "Oh no, you have one. There's one more.
You're missing one.
Bureaucratic division. Yeah, there's one more thing." She said, "Oh, no problem. I mean, she costs like pennies on the dollar. Oh, I'll take care of it for you. I'll go down."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she's helped me with visas. She knows every real estate person in town. She knows. I went over a speed bump. I ended up, because I'm up a high mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I kept under budget in the apartment I bought. I bought a small used car, and the second day I was at my Airbnb, and I hadn't driven there before. It was at night, and it was a really tall speed bump, not one of those low rolling ones in the neighborhood. And it was at night, and it's not painted white or yellow. I went over it at normal speed, and I smashed my whole front bumper in and cracked the grill in half. So I went around to a couple body shops. I didn't even think to call.
Oh yeah, you need a local with you for something like that. Yes.
Yeah, so I was quoted like between like $400 and $500, and it would have been thousands, of course, in the U.S. And I happened to send Uli a text, and she scolds me. "Why didn't you message me right away? You were wasting your time." She said, I know where to go.
Yeah.
So she makes the call, and everyone comes to your home in Colombia. So the body shop owner sent two of his employees in a vehicle, and they came and picked up mine. And then a week later, I got it back, and it came to $130, I think.
Wow. Yeah, it does help to have local contacts, and that's the same here. But one contrast with the rental, we really don't have that issue with the rental, even though most of the rentals are owned by private citizens. Even if you see the listing, online or whatever, they do take your passport, and I believe they do like a credit check, but they don't ask you to have a line of credit or anything like that. I know I've heard that.
Oh, well, they must check your U.S. credit.
Yes, I think they do.
Yeah. See, you guys have that affiliation. Like when you go to a Colombia, you don't,
Yeah, you don't have
Colombians
that.
are very proud. Yeah, they're not impressed that you can have 780 credit like they have.
Means nothing in Colombia. I think I heard a little bit of that in Mexico also, for rental and to buy. So, and again, like you say, you need to know the law of the land, and you would know that if you're not connected to those Facebook groups, because in their little chatter, they're gonna bring these things up so that you know.
And that's how I found her.
Exactly.
And,
so you made a point.
And before I found her, I actually found my apartment to buy. But to give you one more drawback, this is another real estate related thing. There is no MLS in Colombia.
We don't have that either here.
Right. So what that means is that the listing agent is the listing agent.
They're the one who know. Yeah, they know where the listings are.
They know their own listings. They don't want to show you someone else's because they're not going to make any money.
Exactly.
So I figured that one out right away. And I emailed, because after I looked and was back in Florida again, I emailed every single real estate agent in the area. I just figured, whatever, it's the internet, I can do it. And asked individually. It took some work, but that's what you have to do. You know, when
Yeah,
it's a different country, you just have to adapt.
I agree.
And so that's how I found my place. I
Okay.
had like probably 30 different real estate agents sending me their listings when they got them.
Wow. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think the worst I've heard here is that some people sometimes don't get their deposit back because whether they did not perform a certain thing that was required or they messed up the place, I don't know. But it's
Yeah.
not that big, it's not a major issue here in
Mhm.
Panama.
Yeah. And there
So
are plenty of Airbnbs here and long-term
yeah,
ones as well.
yeah.
You just pay more. You're better off if somebody makes the decision to come to Colombia, come stay in the Airbnb,
Hmm.
and then look while you're here. Look for your long-term rental. No, be in the Airbnb knowing that you're going to be moving on, but take your time and find the right rental.
So the option of for somebody who wants to rent and doesn't have a line of credit. So if you have money in the bank, does that help for you to get a rental? Or do you need to
No, they're not
associate
going to
with
look at
a
anything.
local?
No, they're not going to look at anything like that. I think
Okay.
the best thing is what I've heard is just offering a higher deposit. And
Okay.
actually, the Colombian legal system is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people don't mess around. Yes, like in any country, there's scammy things and stuff, especially when people order stuff on the internet. Just like in the old days, the scams that were in classified ads and stuff like that. So you have to be careful of that. But as far as working through attorneys and things like that, they can set up like an escrow account.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Okay.
you have an attorney in Colombia, I mean, you're talking somebody, they would do something like that for you for a long-term real estate contract, probably for like, I don't know, $100.
Okay,
Just
so that's
guessing.
an option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All
you
right.
you make sure, yeah, there are ways around it. I just wanted everyone to know it's just not super easy.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah.
But at least if you know ahead of time, then you prepare for it, right? So what about community? I know you say you belong to some Facebook group. Do you have expat groups that you mingle with, or pretty much the local?
I have made quite a few friends through the expat group here in El-Retiro, which is the closest small town to me.
Okay.
And I've met and made wonderful friends in that group.
Okay.
There's actually a fabulous group in Medellin, and I just don't like to go there at night. I mean, it's a big city, and I'm alone.
Yes.
So most of them I don't participate in. But yeah, they have a group that's expats over 50.
Oh.
Yes.
We found our tribe, our age group.
I'm gonna make all us ladies giggle a little bit here, and I actually did a video on this subject. So guess what the majority were? Not only couples, but it was older men with much younger wives.
Much younger wives, yes, yes.
From Colombia. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like, so you're talking, a guy that's 70 and she's like
20.
35.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it's not quite that bad. I haven't seen it that bad.
Well,
And
that's the way it is in Kenya and in the Philippines and places like that. Oh yes, oh yes. Okay.
Yeah, and I've had a few like flirtatious things from young men. I'm just not the cougar type. I'm just cougar type.
Yeah, they'll zero in on you.
Interested. No way. So no, it's crazy. And in Southeast Asia, there's some great expat channels, but most of them are men. And some of them, it was too far away, but I was looking at them from time to time. But then I got, it was the subject of almost everything, talking about why they liked it so much better there because women were, I don't ever do a negative comment on YouTube. we'll never do it.
Yeah.
But it was very hard for me to bite my tongue. But statements like women in the U.S. aren't the way they used to be, like they're talking like back in the 50s or something.
Okay.
They always have their own opinion. You imagine this? Their
Look,
own
you're
opinion.
not allowed to have opinions, right?
And they're never happy. And I'm like reading between the lines. Well, they're probably never happy
because of you.
You're probably drinking and screwing around. That's why they're
And
not happy.
slapping them around, yes.
Right. And they're this and that. And then they show a picture of their, or the girl, they just, pan over to the girlfriend, and over there, yeah, she's like 20. And they're 70.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's not why you're over
well,
there.
Actually, you know what I say, they can have them.
Yeah, but you know what?
We're
I don't
good.
judge. It makes them happy. It's what do they call that? It's a transactional partnership. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to invite the community to ask questions if you have specific questions. I know we talked about the visa process. She talked about housing. How much do you pay on the average for groceries on a weekly basis, including going to the supermarket and getting your fresh fruit and veggies? How much would you say you spend?
Not eating out, just at the supermarket?
Yeah.
And the grocery store?
Uh-huh.
Oh, probably like $50.
Okay.
Well, now, that's because if it's a heavier shopping week, so let's say I'm going to, like, they have a store that's similar to Costco, and I'm buying like big paper towels, and a big giant bag of dog food, and those. I mean, I don't think I've ever, even on a big shopping trip, spent $100 in one trip.
Well, this is the thing, though. I like to dispel some myths, because a lot of people, even when they see me showing when I go to the farmers market, and I say things are pretty affordable, but when you go inside the stores and you're buying, things are not that cheap. This lady came and told me she went inside my favorite store where I shop, and she's like, I bought a few things. This one was $81, and I'm like, I had that experience when I went back to the U.S. in February. I was like, oh my God, the price is so. Don't expect that thing as going to be cheap, 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 cheap. Somebody asking, have your kids visited you in Panama? I mean, in Colombia?
Not yet, and the reason is, and it actually happened when I was back home for the first time. Their dad, my ex, and we're still a close-knit family. I'm friends with him. We've been divorced many years, but he has stage 4 colon cancer.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and he's very, very ill. So, and they're helping with his care. He's handicapped now also. Something else happened to him a few years ago. So, yeah, they're not able to leave
to leave him. Okay, so they have a good reason.
Yeah.
Well, my kids don't have any reason. They haven't been here either.
Oh my God!
I know. I think this year, when I went back in February, I said, okay, this is your year. If anybody wants to visit, they better visit now, because I'm going to go down to a 1-bedroom apartment.
You're in Panama City.
I know.
Beach, and all those beautiful churches you showed.
I know. Casco Viejo.
I mean, the architecture, the restaurant. I mean, are they not adventurous? Is that why?
Well, I don't know. But with everything that's happening now, I have a couple coming in June, and the rest of them are like slowly. My daughter says she's coming. So maybe something is just lighting a fire under them. But some of these kids are not as adventurous as we are. They don't travel as much. So,
what are the flights inexpensive from the U.S. to Panama? Are they pretty reasonable?
I wouldn't say they're expensive, but they're not cheap either, right? Round trip tickets from here to, let's say, Atlanta, maybe $500-$600. So it's not that bad.
Right.
It's not
but
that
you're
bad.
From Florida, right? From Orlando?
I'm from Orlando, but I was thinking Atlanta. From Orlando.
Yeah.
And again, it's timing. The earlier you book, the better price you get, and all that, and all that jazz. But I don't think it's that bad, you know. If you were to
Well,
go
I
to,
think all the young guys coming to Colombia made a market for the air travel because you fly
mm,
very easily for 300 round trip to Medellin from
from
Orlando,
Miami,
Fort Lauderdale,
Orlando,
Miami. It's nonstop. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but it's filled with them.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's very. I know. Yeah, we're sorry about that. But you know, that's what happened. And that's why we also who move abroad, this should give us pause. If something like that happens to us, that happened to your husband or your ex, right?
Yes,
If we get
yes.
stricken with a disease like the C, I hate to even mention that
I
word
hate the
because it's
word.
like
I know.
I'm not gonna speak it into existence.
Yes,
Right? This is the
right?
thing. We are trying to create a place for us to grow old, but if we become so dependent and so weak, and how, you know what I'm saying? So we have to constantly be thinking about that and framing it in our mind what is going to happen, what would happen if. So,
Yes.
because
No, you're very
we're all
wise.
getting
Yeah.
older and we're healthy now, thank God, but we know that can happen in a second. So,
Yes. Well, I
mm-hmm,
know in Colombia, there really aren't very many long-term care facilities
mm-hmm.
because most people hire privately.
Private help.
And
Same
the
here.
Colombians, their families are so big, it's just unheard of. Even if mom
Mm-hmm,
has Alzheimer's,
mm-hmm,
she's living with one of the children, and they would never do that.
mm-hmm,
They're building, I think they have two now assisted living
mm-hmm,
places in Medellin. They're building another big place,
mm-hmm.
but it's not in the majority of Colombia. It's not part of the culture
Yeah,
to
it's a
still
cultural thing
have
to
that.
take care of your older parents. Here in Panama, they have several facilities, but what I tell
Mhm.
people is like it's not geared towards expats. It's probably not to
Yeah.
the standard that you're familiar with. But for me
So,
personally, I'm not interested in that same model of aging here, right? We
yeah.
want to hire the people to come and take care of you in your home. And also, as a practitioner, I tell people too, you have to get it in your mind. When something happens to you, what do you want done? Do you want all the shine and the glitter of everything that you're familiar with over there, where like what you had, and they put you to the ringer
Yeah.
doing all these tests that were unnecessary? Over here, doctors treat things and they're more holistic in nature. I can tell you, a lot of the people who come here, they go to physician and they are blown away. The doctor would sit there and talk to them for 90 minutes, taking
Yes.
notes, taking all
Yes.
their history, looking at all the
Yes.
medications, removing more than half of those meds. You don't need all that. You don't need all that. And then tell people about holistic living. And then when they're
Well,
like, we're not used to that. And then the doctor say, here is my
no.
WhatsApp number. You call
And they
me.
interview you. I mean, my just the well, oncology. Maggie knows this. It scared the life out of me when they
Yeah.
said I had to go see an oncologist. But they say a hematologist and
Mm-hmm.
oncologist, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But so the doctor that saw me here, the first part, I was there for about 90 minutes. Also, the
Mm-hmm.
first half of it was simply asking me like so many different things. So not just mental health type questions, but also about diet. And then there was the
Exercise and all
exam,
that.
and
Mm-hmm.
like everything, you
Yes.
know. And then a good 20 minutes at the end going over everything and telling you their assessment, but also directives. So not just, well, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
need a prescription, but let's say I did, not
Mm-hmm.
just writing a prescription, but
Exactly.
also telling you things that would be helpful for you.
Yes, yes. And a lot of times, like your experience, they're like, oh my goodness, you didn't need all that. Oh, why did you have to go through all that?
They were
Or
shocked.
sometimes they will say, I can't believe they missed this. All your
Yeah.
fancy doctors, you have all these issues, and then you go in there, they're like zero in. It's like old fashioned medicine. where you did not
Yes.
resort to just testing. You could look at someone and try to figure out what's wrong with them by your knowledge and not just order this test, that test, this test, that test. Yes, the
Mhm.
experience in terms of healthcare has been really great here for expat. The only thing we struggle with is the age and the insurance coverage, because a
Yes.
lot of time if you have pre-existing conditions in Panama, they will not insure you, and we have very limited options for older folks, you know.
Right.
Yes.
And what
So,
happens if it's not? So, obviously that would be concerning for things like hospitalization and whatnot.
mm-hmm,
So let's say you're not covered in your travel
mm-hmm,
insurance
mm-hmm,
for, I don't know, whatever it is. You think you have bronchitis or something.
mm-hmm.
So you need to go to the doctor and get your antibiotic. So like, what does a visit like that run out of
Now,
pocket?
listen, the 90-minute visit that I was telling you about could be maybe
Mm-hmm.
$65. Okay?
Right.
So you go to like an urgent care because you think you have the flu or whatever, $35. In
Yep.
Panama, you don't need a prescription to get regular medicine like high blood pressure,
Yeah,
diabetes,
that's a bad
whatever,
example. It's the same thing in Colombia too
right?
with regular.
The only
Yeah,
script
you can
you
get it.
need is for an antibiotic or a controlled substance.
Right.
And somebody said they went to the ER one time and she said the place was deserted. And they're like, oh my God, because if you can remember
Yeah.
our emergency room, you sit there, everybody's coughing on you. If you weren't sick, you're going to leave sick. And then the doctor said, Panamanians don't come to the emergency room, because they're healthy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
they
Right.
know how to take, go into the backyard and grab a couple of leaves of this and that and, take care of things. So it's a
Yes.
different mindset. So that's
It
why
is.
that's why a lot of us are able to just go to our doctors and pay out of pocket, all your women's checks or whatever, people pay out of pocket. The only thing people
Mm-hmm.
worry about is if you have a major, something, you need open heart surgery or you have a stroke, that would be something that would require coverage. If you don't have it, like I
Yes.
told people, make sure you have a credit card with a limit because they
Wow.
would want to see the credit card before they treat you. That's the one
Wow.
thing about
And
Panama.
then and so it's not that it's expensive, but they won't even insure
The
you if you're
in
over
the
65.
in the private sector, if you're over 75, they will not insure you. There is one hospital
Wow.
that has a plan here. It is between the hospital and the person who buys the coverage, and you are limited to just being given care in that hospital. So if you needed
Yes.
anything done, you'd have to go. That one is like less than $200, and there is no age limit. So this is where expats flock to because if you're
Yes.
75, or you can always buy an international plan, and you're gonna pay $2,000 or 1,500 a month. And who has
Yeah.
that?
It goes by
Who
age
has
also.
that? Who has that money? So we don't. So that is a
No.
challenge. I tell people before you come to Panama, make sure you understand. Some people say, well, we'll go back to the state and get things done. But if you're in emergency, you got to be treated. And then even if they fly you, it would have to be, some of the plans or the Medicare HMO will fly you to the US if that's what you want. But
Right.
for the regular stuff, people pay out of pocket. Your eyes, your
Yeah.
teeth, and all that kind of stuff we pay out of pocket, and it's not.
Well, I
Yes,
kept my, what is that, A and B of my
your
Medicare.
Medicare,
Because well, not now. I mean, because of the way it turned over and stuff. So I'll be on just A,
mm-hmm,
as of January.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, most people don't pay for the B part.
no, but
Mm-hmm.
that covers hospital, right?
Just hospital.
The
The
A.
B
So
covers,
if you have to go back, just
right,
not the doctor.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No, that makes sense.
but because I'm in Panama and that they don't recognize Medicare outside of the US, I did
Right.
switch last year to a Medicare Advantage. So thank God I haven't had to use it, but we'll
I was going
see.
to say that would be an option then, just to keep A and B, because I mean, just flying to the U.S. once a
Mm-hmm.
year and just to get your checkups, see your doctors, because preventative, as I know you know, Maggie, is so important.
Yes.
To get your lab work done, check on everything. It might be worth keeping for some people,
Right.
and then they would just have the cost of the flight once a year. But if they did it to an area where their family is from or something, so they make it a an annual trip and just get all of that done.
Yeah, and I also ask people, I say, you have to know what your medical situation is. If you've had multiple issues in the past and you have your
Yes.
healthcare team and you need regular follow-up, you got to really think hard about coming to a
You
place
do.
like Panama,
Or
right?
pick a country.
So
Or pick a
it may
country
not
that
work
has
for everybody.
comprehensive care.
Yep.
Yeah.
It may not.
No, it's a you got to really kind of do research on yourself
Exactly.
before you start fantasizing about where you want to go.
Exactly. It's not possible for everybody. All right. Anybody else has any other questions for Nana? Yes, old-fashioned medicine. We have a gentleman here, a doctor. He's all into holistic medicine. He would sit there and talk to them about, what's happening. And then I think in his clinic, he does hydration. He gives them vitamin boosts and all kinds of things, telling you need to walk. Like I tell people, get out in the sun at least once a day. All these things, and plus he also mentioned, you in Panama or in South America, where you breathing Nana's clean, fresh air, right? No smog. You're eating fresh fruit and vegetables. Your stress level is reduced. A lot of our issues are directly linked to stress and lifestyle.
Yes.
So once you reduce that, then you
exercise.
Yes. So we're already, ahead of the curve once you move away, because that lifestyle over there is crazy. It's killing us. Anything else you want to share with us, Nana? What would you say to an older woman who is considering relook? I know what I tell them about Panama, but we want to hear what you would tell them about Colombia.
If they're considering this,
if they're considering
as a place to move to, well, first and foremost, to come and visit. As Maggie did, I was more at high speed, but I did do 2 visits. And one was for, the first one was for, I think, 10 days, and the second one was close to a month before I made the decision. Okay. So very, very important, and to make sure that you have, all your ducks in a row as far as what you can afford and can't afford and those types of things. And if you don't speak Spanish, it's important to have a willingness to learn. Oh, I'm going to just do one quick caveat, and I know you'll appreciate this, Maggie. My mother passed away. She didn't have a definitive Alzheimer's diagnosis, but anyway, it was like severe dementia. Okay. And I get migraine headaches, so I was seeing a specialist once a year so I could get my migraine medicine. And after she passed away, I mentioned to him, it was right before I moved to Colombia, so I said, isn't there like a hereditary test for that? He goes, oh, yeah. And so I asked for that, and everything ended up being fine, so I don't have the gene. But in the follow-up visit, what he said to me, because I told him I was moving to Colombia, he said, I can tell you, out of all the things you can do for your mind as you age, is to learn a foreign language. He said there's certain, or a musical instrument. And he said there's certain neurotransmitters in the brain that just kind of start dying. Yeah, it's probably ringing bells for you, Maggie, because you know the science of it. But yeah, so I thought, and then he laughed because I said, I am not learning Spanish and studying guitar or something at the same time. Way too much. So I said, someday you'll see me again, and I'll be speaking Spanish and singing Spanish songs on my guitar.
Well, I love Spanish. I started learning Spanish when I was in middle school. And then I've been tinkling on the piano in the US forever. I mean, I'm not good. but I just love it was
Good
something
for
to do to
you.
relax me. So hey,
Yeah, so
I
that's
was
good,
doing
good
it
and
before
healthy
I
for the
knew.
brain. But I would say that Colombia is probably very similar, culturally to Panama.
Yes.
The people are so nice, and I know I'm talking to solo senior women here, so
Right.
we have an advantage when we go to Latin America because people want to take care of us. My building that I'm in is predominantly Colombians. A lot of them are retired professionals. Some of them are wealthy Colombians, and this is just their weekend getaway, get out of the city place. But as soon as they met me, and there are a few expats in my community, but not that many.
Right.
And I am talking not just inviting me over, but like my next door neighbors on both sides, anytime they have family coming from another place, they let me know ahead of time because they want to have me over and they want me to meet like their cousins or it's just the warmest culture, just so I feel just really loved and taken care of. And I have two Colombian friends that are in my apartment that have my children's phone numbers, should there be an emergency, things like that. And they even thought of that,
Well done.
So super warm and just loving people.
Very good.
Yeah, so that's a big plus because we don't have that so much in the
we
United States
used
anymore.
to, and we lost that to our detriment. Somebody asked, what hobbies do you do? Are you engaged in Colombia?
Well, I do YouTube.
Besides
My latest passion.
YouTube, definitely takes time. And she's got a
Yeah,
dog.
I do. I create art on my computer. I'm not a very good painter. I ran and then later owned art galleries all my career.
Yes.
So it's just fun. I dabble in that, which is creative and fun. I love to explore. And now that I have friends here, there are colonial pueblos all throughout this region. And we'll take day trips and go to that pueblo. And when we were there, and there was a parade of horses. There are horses everywhere in Colombia, particularly where I am. It's like horse country.
Yeah.
But the horses here, yeah, I used to ride, and I think it's the word comes from France. It's called dressage. Remember those Lipizan stallion shows? Where so they aren't white; they're usually brown or black. These horses, and they're dressed
and the
more
steps,
sort of Colombian
they're doing
cowboy
the steps.
outfits.
Yeah.
Yes, but the horses, the footwork of these horses is like they're tap dancing.
Yes.
All the way through. Oh, it's just
I
beautiful.
love that. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so I try to go out and explore, and I think it's really important to give back. So I do volunteer in an English conversation group once a week. And that's for Colombians that are learning Spanish, and it's at like a coffee house and whatnot. I'm not learning Spanish.
You mean they're learning English?
And then from time to time, I go to, a friend of mine has children in a school, and I'll go to the kindergarten and read them a book in English.
Oh, well, that's good. Plus, take care of your dog. That's enough.
That's enough.
That's
a lot. And the school lets me bring my little dog.
And I tell people in retirement in these Americas, Central and South, you as busy as you want to be. I mean, I am doing more creative work here than I've done when I was working. You know what I mean? So it just keeps your mind going. It keeps you engaged. The thing that I need to have to watch is that I can sit in front of the computer for hours. And I was like, no, I need to give my eyes a break, and I need to get out and walk and get in the sun. You have to be diligent about that, because you can get into a project and then you just there, and then it's hours you've been in front of that computer. I'm like, you don't want to do that. So
yes, you have to get out.
So we have to be careful about that.
No, that's super important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's the other thing about Colombia, and it's probably true throughout Central and South America, is and here I've been in the arts all my life, but it was more, sort of the selling end of it, the financial end of it. But pretty much anything you want to do that's in the arts, that costs a lot of money to go to a play. Or look what they charge to go to a concert in the U.S. now. I mean, I haven't been. I think it's like $500 or Taylor Swift. It was like
Especially those live ones. I'm like, how much? No way I'm paying that
Are
money.
you kidding me? And then in Florida, my mother used to years ago. It wasn't even like that then, but it certainly is now. She used to call Florida one of two things: either a concrete jungle or a cultural wasteland. She was from New York, but
yeah.
so Southwest Florida, where I lived. So if you want to go out and hear a little music, every single little place is the same. It's like one guy with the boom whatever behind him, and they're playing, Jimmy Buffett songs.
Some sorry song, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's all the same cookie cutter. And so if you wanted to go to, let's say, theater or see like some classical music or just something, there's never anything different or interesting.
Yeah, that was a challenge.
In this area, there is such an affinity towards that culture. In the one town in Abroad-SWRA, once a month, they have visiting artists and from all over. And so it's not always Latin American music. And sometimes there was one time it was this folk music.
I love the flute. I love when they play the flute like that. That music you hear from the mountain. When I was in Peru and they playing, I was like, oh, I love that. I got hooked up on that when I was in Chile, and I remember it was years ago, and I bought a CD, and now I can play the CD.
Wow.
It was so nice. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. But these events, and they go on all the time. I mean, there's something going on every day and every night.
I know, and they're always parades and music and dancing. Yes, they're happy people. They really are.
They're free. So if I'm a little bit more reclusive, I have introvert tendencies.
Yes.
I do like to go out and enjoy, but if I have like 2 days in a row, it's like I just gotta.
Yeah, you gotta retreat. Yeah, no, I pick and choose. I can't do like that. I'm like you.
But like you're saying, Maggie, when you move to Latin America, I mean, you would never. There's always something to do. And if you're a little shy at first with your neighbors and whatnot, you've got, your Facebook group. And I have found with each Facebook group, because each of these members was in the same boat. So they immediately just welcome you and want you to feel comfortable and give you tips and, all that good stuff.
And yes, I am always amazed as how open people are in sharing information. I'll tell you, I go on those Facebook groups and I see the same question posted, and I'm like, that was posted like last week, so I won't even engage. But somebody would just write a nice big long
answer, I know.
And I'm like, you're a better person than I am.
Yeah, no, it's very, very true.
All right. Any other question, ladies and gents? I don't want to miss anybody if you have a question, because we've been going. I know Nana came a little late, but it's been over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions? Lynette, Bedina, thank you so much, you guys, for coming and hanging with us. Marcia decided not to come because she's like, well, I won't have anything to contribute because she's moving to the DR. And I'm like, well, people may have questions because the DR is not a place that you hear a lot about. So, we always, I always think information is knowledge is power. The most.
It is. I just think, I've loved watching your interviews. I just find it's a learning experience and it's entertaining.
And we all learn together.
I don't have any desire to move, but I love hearing about people that live in different places.
Me too. In fact, I invited somebody from France, and I think I can still ask her. She's in her 70s, and I have this lady that I interviewed. She's like 79 going on 80, and she is in Indonesia, right? And I met a sister last week who just moved here. She said, I'm 80 years old. And I'm like, I'm so
Good
excited.
for them.
So
That is
I'm telling you,
awesome.
so what is your excuses? If you're thinking about doing it, I want to tell you, Nana, myself, and other people, we have done it. You just need to have
Hmm.
your strong why, do your research, and see if it's feasible. But the rest of it,
Yeah.
community, language, and all that, we work it all out. We work it all out. And I'm
You do?
doing some Spanish classes online for some of the ladies. so much
Oh, yes, I
so
saw
much
that.
fun, so much fun.
Hmm.
Like three times a
Oh,
week,
that's
I'll
great.
record something, and I'm like, okay, you need to repeat it back to me.
Yeah, and all of my neighbors, they know, I'd say like half of them speak English, and they know they're not allowed to speak English to me because it's so easy. And I apologize because they like to practice it.
They
I'm like,
want to
I
practice.
go,
That's
you're
the
much better
thing.
at your
That's
English
the
than I am at my
thing.
Spanish. Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. Well, I don't see any questions, you ladies. We're going to call it a day. Again, I want to thank all of you. Greta always gone. Who stayed with us, Lynette, Bedina. Thank you so much. This will be posted under the live tab on the
Oh,
YouTube
okay.
channel, right? And
Okay.
oh, Greta, you were still here. Thank you so much for hanging with us. Have a great day. Thank you. We're going to live with intention. Excellent. So I will see you ladies next month. I'm not sure yet who the guest is going to be, but I'll find somebody. So
Hey,
the
well, keep going for those exotic places
I
too.
think the
You could,
problem is the timing though. When I
yeah.
asked
Oh,
my
that's
lady in
right.
Indonesia, she's like 13 hours ahead. So if I say 12 noon, it will be like 1 a.m. where she's at. It's like,
It's
no.
at 12 I know. Well,
Yeah,
I
we can
talked with
do it.
that with
France
Dan
is
from
not bad
Vagabond
because
Wings.
France is only 5 or 6 hours ahead. So it will be in the evening. So
Hmm.
we can do. All right,
Yeah, that makes
Christine,
sense.
I'm glad I didn't know you were here. So happy to see you, girl. Thank you, guys. What do you kick yourself for not bringing? Huh? Oh, for you, Nana. Is there
Yeah,
anything
I
you
didn't hear the
felt you
question.
did? She said, what do you kick yourself for not bringing? Something from home that you didn't bring with you that you wish you had.
Well, I actually haven't, and that's because Amazon delivers for free most items to Colombia.
For free?
Yeah, I would say when you click on Prime and with
Oh,
the US
Prime.
address,
Okay.
you're
Uh-huh.
going to see more items, but pretty much I'd say probably half of everything on Amazon. I guess it ships
Wow.
out of Miami, yeah. And it's just you just have to your order has to be a minimum of 35 US dollars,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
and they will not ship food or vitamins.
Okay. No food or
But
vitamins, but
other
everything
than
else.
that, I
Wow.
did some Amazon ordering after I first got here.
Very
And to
nice.
answer your viewer's question, I made sure in my budget that I would have enough money left over uh, that I could afford to go back, 2 or 3 times a year
To
to
retrieve
Florida.
and bring stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and so a little tip, to add a bag, usually it's like $60.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did last time, and it was 50 pounds. You can get a lot, 50 pounds. And I had no problem. I went to Costco and I got 50 pounds
And
of like
shopped.
all my favorite because you were mentioning that stuff in the
Mm-hmm.
grocery store sometimes can be expensive. As long as I don't buy U.S. products, it's dirt
Mm-hmm.
cheap. But
Right.
there's certain things that you don't kind of miss.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had food. I've got big feet, size 10. Can't buy size 10
Can't
here.
find 5 cent shoes. I know. I've
Yeah,
told them
I was gonna
that.
say so I had a couple pairs of shoes, lots of food, just crazy things. But anyway, what I did was I went to Goodwill and I bought a suitcase for $10. And then I gave it to my favorite, one of the landscape guys in my community. He's so sweet. I said, "Do you need a suitcase?" He said, "Sure." So I gave him the suitcase. So probably on one trip a year, I'll probably bring stuff back.
That's
but let's
good.
say I wanted a new set of sheets or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about it, shipping 50 pounds would not cost you $60.
No, it costs you
So
more. Yeah.
yeah, so that's
Yeah.
kind of a way around it. But no, I haven't really
Oh, I'm so
missed
glad,
anything because
Christine.
of that.
Yeah. Well, I miss my knives, when I left. But again, because when I came, I knew I was going to go to Africa, so I did not bring anything. So I
Yeah.
went back in February and brought everything back. But every so often I'll go on the YouTube program and I like whine about something that I don't have, and somebody will bring it to me.
And nobody asks, like, what store do I miss the most? And it's really not Costco. There's stores like that here.
What
I
store do
miss
you
my
miss?
TJ Maxx. I miss my TJ Maxx and my Marshalls.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we have some stores here, but just not quite the same. Not quite the same. But anyway,
Yeah.
I just kind of shared a little things from my mind. And I'm like, if I don't have it, I don't need it. Now I'm
Oh,
missing a
exactly.
nice medium size cast iron. You know me, it has to go with food.
Oh, an iron skillet?
Cast iron. I
Oh,
bought a
that's
big one.
heavy.
I bought
That's
a
probably
big.
going to weigh all 50
Yeah,
pounds coming back.
no. It's just so.
They're heavy.
I was whining about grits. Somebody brought me grits. I was whining about a pastry cutter. Somebody put me a pastry cutter. I have the best,
Now,
friends here on YouTube.
yeah, now those iron skillets, don't they take like years to like prime? Doesn't it? Like
No,
you have
you
to
you
really.
you learn how to what do I call that? Season them. Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
season them with the fat, and you have to put them in the oven. And I just
Oh.
showed mine the other day. It looks brand new because I bought the big one, and when I was at the airport, I didn't want to put it in my suitcase because it was going to weigh too much. So I put
I
it on. I,
know.
I
That's
put it in my
insane.
in my in my backpack, and the guy took it out, and he's looking, and I'm like, please don't take it.
Please don't say it. It's not a
He's
weapon.
looking at it. I said, it's not a
Try me.
weapon. I said, it's not a weapon.
Right.
I promise.
That is
And when
too
he did
funny.
not take it, I mean, he looked at. I don't think he's ever seen one. He looked at it. He turned it around. I was like, please
Oh,
don't
yeah.
take
Yeah.
it. So I
Oh, I
have
could give one
one,
little
but
tidbit.
it's big. Yeah. But anyway, all right,
One little
guys.
tidbit.
Nana, thank you so much. This has been entertaining and educational, and I enjoy spending that time with you.
I have enjoyed
With
it so much.
everything that we went through with this phone and stuff, you're a
I know.
trooper. You are a trooper. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed this so much,
Yes.
and I'll continue to enjoy watching all your videos. They're just
Yes,
great.
I
And
am going
you're
to
great.
put your channel in my YouTube channel because I know they want to look at your channel. So I'm going to put it there for them to go check it out. And I watch yours.
Awesome.
I enjoy watching your videos because I'm looking at the view and I'm like, oh, that looks so beautiful. Oh, that looks so beautiful. And everybody says the same
Yeah,
thing.
one of these days I should interview you because I've only been doing my YouTube channel for like 5 months. So
That's pretty good. And you've gotten quite a few new subscribers too.
yeah, so I think
Yes.
at some point I would enjoy doing that,
That
talking
would be
to,
great.
because it doesn't have to be all about Colombia, but
Exactly.
just talking to people in other countries. It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well,
Well,
bye
thank
bye.
you.
Thank you. Have a
Bye,
wonderful
everybody.
day, afternoon. Thanks for joining us, you ladies. Thank you, Christine, BPE, Lynette, Greta. Thank you, ladies. You have a lovely day. Bye bye.